Good morning, Mesh. Catch us on Twitter as @Mashallah Speaks. IG, it will be the man Yonela. Catch us on Facebook as Yonela Mashallah. Good morning, Mash, the After Jog Thoughts. My name is Uyonela Mashalaba, aka the iceberg that never broke. Welcome back to our show again. Do catch us on Twitter as Mashalaba Speak. You'll catch us on IG as the man Yonela, and of course Facebook Uyonela Mashalaba. Today, guys, we are in a different venue, as you can see. The president here will tell us why we are here. Yeah, guys, let's go on with this. First of all, congratulations, President. I think this is the first time where I'm getting the chance to officially congratulate you on making it as Nelson Mandela University President. Tell us a bit about that journey.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mash. And I'm not sure if it's a good afternoon or so it's good afternoon on the Good Morning Mash show.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you very much again for the congratulations, I guess. Look, it's been crazy. It's been an experience and a half. From election campaigns in September to effectively a bit of work here and there in December in preparation for January. But I think the most hectic part of it was from the 6th of January until to date, I guess. It's been hectic, there's been no break. Understandably, of course, with pre-registration challenges, admission challenges, registration challenges, and effectively, of course, there will be post-registration challenges again that we need to prepare ourselves for. So I think it's been a job and a half, but I can't say I've not enjoyed every moment. The challenge has been the adrenaline has been crazy.
Okay, definitely. Again, as I always remind you guys, all the views that are exposed in this particular show are either the views of me as a personal individual, Yonela Mashalaba, or the guests on my show. You again have the right to agree or disagree or have your inputs on this particular issues that we're going to be dealing with. President, we are in the second month of the academic, very short academic calendar. That is, why are we in NSFAS offices? I would have thought by now that students are in class and they are already doing their assessments. First test should have been out. Why are we in Cape Town?
It's been crazy. It's been crazy, but effectively we're in Cape Town, particularly today, to sort of come and deal with all issues by simply grabbing the bull by its horns. We're at NSFAS offices in Cape Town, of course. This is not because there have not been engagements with all various stakeholders about some of the challenges that our students at Nelson Mandela University have been facing, but it's been very difficult, Mash, to deal with the bottleneck issues as they come up with, I think you were there last week at a mass meeting that the SRC had convened with all students who have outstanding registration challenges. It's not a matter of there's an absence of meetings of stakeholders sitting and those meetings taking decisions, but there's been a problem in the filtering down of those decisions as well as their implementation. In December, before effectively one could say my term of office started, we were called down to Johannesburg, if I remember correctly, by the Department of Higher Education to go out there with the South African Union of Students as well as all SRC presidents in the country to go and discuss and agree on NSFAS guidelines on how NSFAS is ought to be administered going into the 2020 academic year. That meeting did not conclude some of its business. We were promised to reconvene early in 2020. 2020 came as natural. We convened again by NSFAS, and there had been a failure of some of the implementation of some of the NSFAS guidelines that the Ministerial Office as well as the Department of Higher Education had agreed with SRC presidents with, had agreed with the South African Union of Students with, as well as had agreed with NSFAS with. That is why you then saw throughout the country the South African Union of Students calling down for a national shutdown. Of course, as a university, as an SRC, we could not fully participate in the national shutdown because our administration had not geared up at that time. We had not had students on campus yet. Our registration had not commenced yet due to a number of issues. But we were able to still agitate for some of those things nonetheless. I remember during the time of the national shutdown, when it was called, we immediately issued out a statement pledging our support towards the national shutdown, because we were the people who were called to these meetings early on in December and early on in January. We had known what agreements we had made with both the Department of Higher Education as well as NSFAS, as well as with our own university on some of these aspects. So we're back again at NSFAS because one, we found out it's our students who are rejected without even hearing their appeals on the basis that they do not meet the N+2 criteria. We were the
about that. Please tell us, what does this? I've been hearing a lot about this N+2 or N+1. I think our students would like to understand this, because it's creating a lot of confusion amongst our students in terms of how are you excluded from a particular system when you are told that you will qualify for X number of years, and all of a sudden, can you clarify that as well?
The N+2 has become a popular topic now, not as a result because it's a new issue, but it's become popular now because of the attempts that higher education had attempted to do. They had attempted to change the N+2 criteria to an N+1, which was what we then agitated against, to say that no, you can't, in the middle of an administrative of NSFAS, just simply change the NSFAS criteria. You'd remember that NSFAS, if you are doing a 3-year program, they would give you leeway for an extra 2 years in terms of them funding you. And then after that 2 years, you would then fall off the NSFAS funding. What then the Department of Higher Education decided to do was then revoke that N+2 criteria into an N+2 criteria. Therefore saying that if you're doing a 3-year program, the department will not exceed its funding beyond 4 years. So they'll only effectively fund you for 4 years for a 3-year program. If you're doing a 4-year private program, you'll be funded for 6 years, vice versa. So it's now popular because the department had attempted to change the N+2 criteria to an N+1 criteria. Why we're in Cape Town today is that we had agreed with the department to say, fine, go back to N+2 criteria. Number 2, N+2 criteria must not be forecasted. What do I mean, Mash? Is that if a student still meets the 50+1 criteria to fall back onto the NSFAS funding, you as the Department of Higher Education don't forecast the academic progress of that student and forecast it to a point that you say you are not going to meet the 5 years of funding. NSFAS must continue funding its students until they exceed the years of limit in terms of the N+2 criteria. And therefore, if you are doing a 4-year program, the Department of Higher Education and NSFAS must continue to fund you for those full 5 years. And therefore, do not cut funding, which is what we've seen them do. Students have been withdrawn their funding on the basis of some forecast that they've been doing, of saying that they're not going to complete your years of study. What we said there, number 2, the Department of Higher Education, is that the N+2 criteria must not speak unto how many years I've been in university for. And therefore, if you're a student that has registered in university in 2016, however, you first got NSFAS in 2018, the N+2 calculation must start from the year 2018, which is when you were first funded by NSFAS. But you've realized what the Department of Higher Education has been doing, as well as the university has been doing, is that if you've been in university since 2016, though you started receiving NSFAS funding in 2018, they start calculating the N+2 criteria from 2016, 2017, 2018, even though it's the first year you started getting funding, to them is the 3rd year in terms of the N+2 criteria, meaning that in 2019 as well as in 2020 effectively, should you go on to study in 2021, they are going to withdraw their funding because you would not meet the N+2 criteria. So that has been one of the bottleneck issues that has been a problem with us with the Department of Higher Education.
I just want to play devil's advocate there, President. As much as I understand the systemic issues of certain students coming from underprivileged schools, previously and historically disadvantaged, particularly students, that might require a certain number of years more to learn things like computers, which they see for the first time when they get to university. The other argument here is that government simply does not have the funding to extend the years in which it funds particular student. Hence, it decided to do the N+1 What would be your response to that particular?
Again, Nash, that has been the bone of contention since the first argument that we put down as SRCs against the Department of Higher Education. The minister once said to us, so you're saying that the department must fund 2 years of failing. And we said that is an extremely narrow way of analyzing it. You as a sector understand very, very well the historical imbalances that are found in the higher education sector, number one. Two, fundamentally understand the gap between basic education as well as higher education. And therefore, you can't narrowly term the N+2 criteria as the Department of Higher Education funding 2 years of failing. Number two, our bone of contention was that much as you want to encourage academic excellence, is that even if a student exceeds the N+2 criteria, there must be mechanisms for you as a Department of Higher Education as well as NSFAS to sit down and listen to their reasons. So even if you exceed the N+2, at least your appeal must be heard, because sometimes failing is justifiable, you know. And it has proven more than often that actually failing sometimes is justifiable, and sometimes failing is actually not even failing at all. So we've been saying to the Department of Higher Education, we've been saying to our own university, to not apply a rigid bureaucratic approach to it of saying N+2, that's it, that's end of business for you. But let's sit down, let's look at cases merit by merit, and effectively let's begin to not systematically exclude our students from the system, but let's have some sense of compassion and understand what are some of the challenges that are faced by students in the higher education sector.
And President, what are these particular challenges that you speak of in terms of why you actually decided that you're going to fly thousands of kilometers to Cape Town? What are these particular challenges that you are talking about?
One, Mesh, as an SRC, there's been one particular argument that we've been having with the Department of Higher Education as well as our own university, and we've been advocating relentlessly for, is that one, I'm here in Cape Town today because we are sitting with students on campus who were doing higher certificate last year, who have 1 or 2 modules that they're outstanding this year in order for them to complete the higher certificate. 3 or 4, 1 or 2, nevertheless, but some of them actually meet NSFAS criteria in terms of continuation of funding, like any other qualification that is being done. But with them, they are victimized on the basis that they are higher certificate students, as if higher certificate is any different to any other program or qualification that is done in higher education, and as if these students do not face the same conditions as these other students face. So I was saying to the Department of Higher Education, why withdraw higher certificate funding on the basis that you as a department only fund higher certificates for only 1 year? Why not apply the same N+ criteria to higher certificate students as well, because they face the same challenges that any other university student face. Number two, we're here again. I think I was with you earlier on with the specialist of NSFAS, yes. Support specialist of NSFAS, when we said that Mariska Photos, to say that universities must hear appeals of students and not automatically reject them on the basis that they've narrowly calculated whatever they deem as an N+2 criteria. So I'm here in Cape Town with a list of those students whose funding has been withdrawn. No, some of them actually has been so bad that they've started receiving funding this year in their allowances. Immediately out of nowhere, the university sends them SMSs to say that your funding has been withdrawn because you do not meet the N+2 criteria, and therefore NSFAS is not going to fund you. And therefore, as a university as well, we are going to stop dispersing funds to you. So it's been that hot potato between the university as well as NSFAS. So we took a decision to say that, President, come down to Cape Town, let's hear the issues as they come up with, let us screen all of our students, and let us take a decision as far as NSFAS headquarters is concerned, so that if it's the university that is not taking responsibility, we know. If it is NSFAS that's not taking responsibility, we know. We can't have, it's the second month of the academic program, a very short academic program, but we still have close to 600 students who are yet to be registered, and it can't be. We can't continue as if business is normal. So we said that I'm going to be in Cape Town, I'm going to scrutinally analyze each and every case of every student together with the headquarters of NSFAS and ensure that our students are able to succeed in class and they're able to register like any other deserving student.
President, you speak of a particular channel that should be there in the event that the students' academic career is interrupted, whether by unplanned event or academic challenges that follow, there should be an appeals process. How does that appeals process work? Because as far as I've been hearing is that students are getting what they term as random responses, where you are told that you don't qualify for a particular appeal when you have not appealed at all, or you are told that your certificates are from 2018 when all your certificates are actually 2019. So students are calling them random SMS responses. What has been happening? Can you give us insight on that?
How appeals are formulated are done in two ways. If you're a first-time NSFAS applicant, meaning you're a first-time entry student, your appeal is dealt with directly by NSFAS. Why is this done? Because the university that you had applied to or would be a prospective student to would not have the relevant documentation, in terms of the income, household income of your parents, etc., etc. So those students are dealt with directly by NSFAS. Returning students, however, are dealt with the university, because it is the university that has the academic record. It is the university that understands your university circumstances that a student has been under.
So basically, not all NSFAS appeals go directly to the headquarters in
of
Cape Town.
NSFAS. Yes,
Okay.
basically. An appeals committee is established by financial aid of your respective university, 2 SRC members to form part of that appeals committee, as well as student affairs forming part of that committee. To what you've been asking of these random SMSs that students has been getting, indeed, last week Friday, if it's Friday, last week Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, we had convened a mass meeting with students, because again, the frustration has been these bottleneck issues. You agree on how to take an approach on things with the university. When it comes to filtering down that information as well as implementing that information, it's a finger pointing game. Called all students with outstanding registration challenges to one venue, and we personally as an SRC said we're going to walk each and every individual case of those students. No one is going to go home, no one is going to write their name on whatever list, no list is going to, we're going to walk with each and every individual case to its relevant department, be it accommodation, be it financial aid, or be it student accounts. What then happened, ironically, students started getting responses. Students started getting responses more efficiently, but what we then saw with these responses is that there was an irregularity. And it's true. There are students who did not apply for NSFAS, who did not appeal for NSFAS, who got the responses saying that their appeals have been rejected. Rejected how, but they didn't appeal. You have students who have received SMS saying your appeal has been rejected on the basis there have been no reasons to your appeal. Why? If the appeals committee has sat and scrutinized each and every student's appeal, sat down, had a debriefing with some of the SRC members that sit down in these committees, the number of SMSs that students received and the number of rejected students don't correspond with the appeals entertained by the committee. And we asked how.
So there's a loophole somewhere.
So fast track to today, when I'm getting a briefing from them whilst I'm in Cape Town, is that all of a sudden no one knows who sent out the SMSs. So our approach was simple as an SRC: restart the whole process, collect each and every student who's been rejected by an appeal. That process must start over. But what we've also noticed, Nash, is that the drafting of appeals from the level of our student has been extremely poor. The lack of supporting documents for the appeals has been extremely poor. But what we said as an SRC, all of those students who have been rejected on the basis that there's been no supporting document to their case must be afforded an opportunity to submit those supporting documents. Because the form itself from NSFAS and NSFAS appeal doesn't really agitate you to say that do attach a motivational letter, attach supporting document. It simply gives you 3 boxes that you must tick in terms of why you're appealing. You're appealing because you don't meet financial criteria, you're appealing because you did not perform academically well. So what we are encouraging for students is that please do submit your supporting documents if you know that you have appealed and you have received an SMS saying that your appeal has been rejected. Please do submit your supporting documents to either Lizalisa Sichega, Smonisa Sichega, or Amanda Ngwenya, which are some of our SRC members who sit in those appeals committee, or in any other SRC member that you do come across. or personally email these SRC members your supporting documents so that we can get your appeal and its supporting documents as quickly as possible. So we are dealing with that. There are a number of issues that the university says that they can't deal with internally, which is why I'm in Cape Town. We have a list of those students with a list of their bottleneck issues. Students whose NSFAS portals are missing. We've submitted those names today. Investigations are being done to deal with these issues. Students who have been waiting allowances since last year, who now have debt. And we're told that they have NSFAS last year, so we are dealing with
information on the portal.
People who have been told, there have been people who have been told to submit outstanding documents since last year. They've been uploading these documents. They still get the same response to say that submit these outstanding documents. So this is what we're here in Cape Town to deal with. We're here to pinpoint each and every single challenge that the university claims that they can't deal with directly. We're here to deal with those cases.
And I know, Mr. President, that you have not only been talking the talk, but also walking the talk. Sorry. Tell us about the brave 10 million rand Mandela Fund. What is that all about? Is it even realistic to expect that? Can students really expect that?
Look, it's a lot of people have been saying it's crazily ambitious. But I'm saying that we would not know unless we start. As an immediate, we've been cutting down an entertainment budget as an SRC. I think we've cut down our campus, our Freshers Carnival budget to close to half of it. What was spent compared to the other years to what was spent this year, we've chopped that budget nearly in half. We've been trimming each and every event. We've been scrapping some events because as an SRC, we want to put together 10 million rands as an SRC. This is more than double our SRC budget, but we want to raise it nonetheless. And the call is simple. We're saying as an SRC, we want to bring back the My Mandela Fund as a Nelson Mandela University SRC, because it's clearly proven that the point of struggle this time around, Nash, is no longer open access to university. It's now open adequate access with attempts to succeed within that access. And the biggest challenges that we're all facing in the higher education sector currently is the issue of adequate accommodation and the issue of student debt. It's a devil that has come back to haunt us as the must fall generation. And we're saying that we're not going to nag about it. We are going to make a stance about it. It was the same question that we've always been asked by these bureaucrats when we make demands on Bravo students. Where's the money going to come from? We're going to search our pockets with the little change that we have. We're going to put it on the table, and big corporates as well as the university must then come to the table with whatever they have. The call from the SRC has been simple. Currently we're putting on the table more than 500,000 on the My Mandela Fund as the immediate. We're taking it out of the SRC budget, and also all events of the SRC are going to deposit. They've created a cost center for it. They're going to deposit all of those proceeds of every single event of the SRC towards the My Mandela Fund. We've put out a call to the Vice Chancellor of the University as well as Council to say that as an SRC, double whatever we put on the table towards the My Mandela Fund. We've started moving around, Nash. Last week, we're shopping in government, we're shopping in the Nelson Mandela Bay Business Chamber, and this is a campaign, Nash, that we want each and everyone to do. From society leaders, from student societies, from sporting codes, from everyone. There's a very strong campaign that we're going to start as well as part of the My Mandela Fund. It's called the Rands for Mandela. The higher education challenges are a societal challenge, and we don't want to make anyone feel that they have made less of a contribution to it. So the Rands for Mandela is saying that even the poorest of the poor, the minimum of R1 that you can contribute towards student debt is enough to change some of the challenges that students have been facing. And this pool of 10 million rands that you want to put together, Nash, the reason why it's no longer called the bailout fund or the debt relief and the My Mandela Fund is that it's not going to be rigid towards whatever, but it's going to be a responsive fund that is going to respond to student challenges, be it accommodation, be it funding. The pool must be there, and the pool of money must service the students.
I mean, if we are going to change the world, we might as well start with our own backyard and changing our own minds first. So I do really like that approach of things, because it's also my understanding that as students, we can actually donate something. It does not have to be R1 million, but with every 10 rand that we spend, we can actually contribute 1 rand.
I mean, look, Mesh, on average, accommodation stands at about just close to 40,000 rand a year for students. Nelson Mandela University has just over 30,000 students. A rand from each and every one of us as a student is able to put a roof over a student's head. So that's the concept behind the rands for Mandela. We're going to be out as the SRC in shopping malls, behaving like the rest of the people in our community, asking for as little as a rand. You know, if people can contribute 2 rands at KFC, they can definitely contribute a rand at an SRC member standing outside of a mall who is trying to change the world.
You guys have heard it straight from the president himself. He's saying if you can donate 2 rands to KFC, then definitely you can donate 1 rand towards an individual's education. Besides that, what other plans does the 2020 SRC seem to have? You seem to be approaching this with a very fresh approach, and I kind of like it. I must say. What other surprises do you have for us before we close?
Look, it's been crazy. To what you were speaking about in how narrow the sector can be sometimes. As an immediate response, our local SRCs are out there with a very ambitious task that I support fully. I know that it starts tomorrow at 2nd Avenue. We've been taking our students who are very compact with software as well as computers. Starting from tomorrow at 2nd Avenue Library, the SRC will be starting revision classes for end-user computing. Because they've realized that you have students who can't complete higher certificate, struggle with their first year in whatever program, simply because these students are struggling with subjects such as communications, which is English, as well as end-user computing, simply because of the material conditions that they come back from. You know, some of these people are taught computers on a chalkboard. There's no practical experience of these things. They don't know how to log in. They don't know how to use Microsoft Word, Excel. I know that there are students who come from these big schools, you know, these IEB schools, these Quantel 5 schools, who struggle with Excel. How much more from a student who comes from the rural areas who have never interacted with a computer, who are expected to pass this Excel module, this end-user computing module, in order for them to get NSFAS the following year. You know, so we've then taken that approach. We've started some of these challenges. It's going to exceed beyond end-user computing. You know, we started an approach to go and shop find some of the people who are quite good in the modules that have been a challenge to our students. See if we can't start offering classes in home languages within these modules that students are finding a challenge.
Without wasting any other time, that was our president from Nelson Mandela University.